In the endless sun-drenched plains of the African savanna, where the golden grass sways beneath a vast awakening sky, a new life quietly entered the world. It was a warm February morning, and within the protective circle of her family, a zebra mare brought forth a small, trembling foal. The herd stood close, their bodies forming a living shield, their presence a silent promise of safety. The air was thick with the scent of sun-baked earth and dry grass, mingled with the sharp, sweet aroma of acacia carried on the breeze. Overhead the calls of distant birds echoed, weaving a symphony that would become the backdrop to every moment of his life. This young male was named Punda, a name echoing the ancient rhythms of the land. His arrival was a quiet miracle, a fresh beginning in a world shaped by the relentless cycles of life, death and survival that have played out on these plains for millennia. Punda's mother, a strong and experienced mare, wasted no time. She nuzzled her newborn, her breath warm and steady, then began to lick him clean. Her rough tongue swept over his damp fur, stimulating his blood flow and imprinting her scent deep into his memory. This was Punda's first lesson. Know your mother. In a sea of stripes, where hundreds, even thousands of zebras gather, a foal's survival depends on recognizing the unique scent, sound and touch of the one who gave him life. Punda's legs, impossibly long and still slick from birth, trembled as he tried to push himself up. His fur was a bundle of softness, his stripes already bold and clear, a living fingerprint that set him apart from every other zebra. The world was a blur of new sensations: blinding sunlight, the rustle of grass, the earthy tang of soil, and the steady, reassuring presence of his mother. Her body was his anchor, her warmth his first comfort, her milk his first taste of life. Within an hour, instinct took over. Driven by the ancient urge to survive, Punda managed to stand on his own four hooves. He swayed, unsteady and awkward, like a small table with uneven legs. But he was upright, his first victory. This was a critical achievement. On the open plains, where the grass offers little cover and the horizon stretches unbroken, there is no place for the weak to hide. Predators are always watching, their eyes drawn to the smallest, the slowest, the most vulnerable. A foal that cannot stand and run is an easy target. Sensing this, Punda's mother nudged him gently, urging him to take his first steps. Each stumble was a lesson, each step a triumph. Punda learned to coordinate his legs, to balance his weight, to move with a purpose that belied his tender age. The urge to survive was a force as old as the land itself, pushing him to master the skills he would need every day. Around him, the family group gathered, led by a powerful stallion, his father, who watched over the new mother and her foal with unwavering vigilance. The herd formed a protective circle, their bodies a living barrier against danger. The stallion stood tall, his ears swiveling to catch every sound, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of threat. The other mares pressed close, their presence a silent promise of community and shared defence. Punda was not just the son of one mother, he was a new member of a close-knit family, a harem whose unity was his first line of defence in the wild. For now he was safe, cradled by the warmth and strength of his own kind, a small, striped miracle beneath the boundless African sky. The world awaited, full of challenges and wonders, and Punda's journey had only just begun. Punda's world began with a rush of sensation, warmth, the scent of his mother, and the gentle touch of her muzzle urging him to rise. His first few moments were a test of instinct and determination. With trembling legs, Punda pushed himself upright, his knees buckling beneath him. Again and again he tried, each attempt a little steadier than the last, his mother's soft encouragement never far away. As he finally stood, the world came into focus. His mother's unique stripes, bold and mesmerizing, became his first guidepost. He pressed his nose to her side, breathing in her scent, imprinting her pattern into his memory. To a human eye, all zebras might look the same, But to Punda, every stripe was a map, a code only he could decipher. Each zebra in the herd wore a different pattern, as distinct as a fingerprint. Punda learned to recognize his mother's pattern, her scent, and the low, rumbling sound of her voice. These were his anchors in a world that felt vast and uncertain. This connection was his lifeline. He pressed close to her, feeling the steady rhythm of her breathing, drawing comfort from her presence. If he were to get lost in the sprawling herd, he would need to find her quickly. The memory of her stripes, her scent and her voice would guide him back. He nuzzled against her, imprinting every detail, her warmth, her markings, the gentle rumble of her call, into his young mind. This bond, forged in the first hours of life, was the foundation of his survival, a deep instinctual connection that tethered him to safety in a world of constant motion and potential danger. As his legs grew stronger, Punda's world expanded. Each step was a lesson, sometimes a stumble, sometimes a leap. He began to practice running, his small hooves kicking up dust as he galloped in short, joyful bursts around his mother. The thrill of movement filled him with energy and curiosity. These were not just playful games, they were essential training exercises. Every sprint, every jump was practice for the day he might need to flee from danger. A zebra's primary defense against predators is its speed and stamina. Even as a newborn, Punda was learning the skills that would one day save his life. Punda needed to be able to keep up with the herd, to run for miles if necessary to escape a threat. His mother always kept him close, but the lessons of movement were constant. His father, the lead stallion, watched his progress with a keen eye, standing guard over the family and ready to defend them at a moment's notice. The entire family group moved together, their pace dictated by the needs of the youngest and weakest members. Punda's growing strength meant the family could travel more freely. He was quickly becoming a capable member of the moving community, learning from the older foals and the watchful adults around him. The mystery of a zebra's stripes is something even scientists debate. For Punda, his stripes were a source of endless fascination. Some believe the dizzying black and white patterns confuse predators, making it difficult for a lion to single out one individual from a running herd. Others suggest the stripes help repel biting tsetse flies, which are a major nuisance on the plains. Another theory is that the stripes act as a natural cooling system or a form of camouflage in the low light of dawn and dusk. Whatever the reason for Punda, his stripes were his identity. He would often gaze at his own reflection, marvelling at the patterns that marked him as unique. They marked him as a member of his species and, more importantly, helped him blend in with his family. When they stood together, their individual outlines blurred into a single, shimmering mass of black and white, a clever trick of nature designed to protect them. In the heart of the herd, Punda was both hidden and protected, his stripes a shield against the dangers of the savannah. Life in the herd was a constant lesson in social dynamics. Punda watched, listened and learned from every interaction. He learned the hierarchy of his family group, a harem led by his powerful father, with mares and foals each knowing their place. The stallion was responsible for protecting the mares and their offspring from both rival males and predators, always alert and ready to defend. He would lead them to the best grazing spots and the safest water sources, his decisions shaping the rhythm of their days. Punda observed how the zebras communicated with each other through a series of soft whickers, loud brays, and subtle body movements, each sound and gesture carrying meaning. He saw them stand side by side, nuzzling and grooming each other, a behaviour that removed parasites and strengthened their social bonds. Punda tried to mimic these actions, learning the rituals of affection and trust. He was learning how to be a zebra, not just as an individual but as part of a complex and cooperative society. Every step, every stripe, every lesson with his mother and herd was shaping Punda's journey into the wild heart of the savannah. As the seasons shifted, the savannah transformed before Punda's eyes. The once lush grasslands faded to brittle gold beneath the relentless sun, and the air shimmered with heat. The ground crackled underfoot, the green blades of grass withering into a brittle carpet. The scent of dust and sun-baked earth filled the air, and the promise of rain became a distant memory. Yet, in the hearts of the herd, an ancient rhythm pulsed. Heads lifted, nostrils flared, and ears flicked at the distant rumble of thunder. The sky darkened with gathering clouds, and the instinct to move awakened. The great migration began, an endless river of life flowing across the plains. Zebras, wildebeest and gazelles surged forward, their bodies pressed together in a living tide. The herd stretched for miles, a tapestry of stripes and horns weaving across the horizon. Over 2 million animals moved as one, drawn by the scent of rain and the hope of green pastures. There were no leaders, no maps, only the drifting clouds and the distant promise of thunder. The animals followed the reins, their journey guided by the shifting sky. For the young like Punda, every step was new. The world became a blur of legs and bodies, the air thick with the scent of sweat and dust. The journey was not a choice, but a law of survival. The herds pressed onward, driven by hunger and thirst, their hooves carving ancient paths into the earth. Waterholes became rare sanctuaries, their muddy banks crowded with desperate bodies. Every drop was precious, every mouthful a victory. The herds merged and swelled, a living sea that rolled across the savannah, their numbers blotting out the land. The sound was thunderous, a ceaseless symphony of hooves drumming the ground, the low calls of wildebeest, the braying of zebras, and the rustle of bodies in motion. Young foals pressed close to their mothers, comforted by familiar scents and the steady rhythm of the herd. Eyes wide, Punda gazed at the endless throng, the sheer scale of life around him both overwhelming and awe-inspiring. The migration swept all before it, a force of nature that carried every creature along in its powerful current. Punda's world expanded, his small form now part of a vast moving multitude. The journey was perilous. The herds crossed treacherous ground, wary of every shadow and every sudden movement in the grass. Fatigue gnawed at every limb. The march was relentless, broken only by brief moments of rest before the journey resumed. Not all would survive. The weak and the weary fell behind, claimed by the unforgiving land. Hunger and thirst stalked the herds, every day a struggle to find enough to eat and drink. A single misstep, a moment's weakness, could mean being left behind, alone on the vast empty plains. Predators watched from the shadows, lions, hyenas and others drawn by the endless procession of prey. Danger was ever present, hidden in the tall grass and the darkness beyond the herd. Punda learned to walk for hours, to conserve his strength, and to stay alert to every sound and scent. Playful gallops gave way to a steady, determined march, a rhythm of survival shared by millions. The herds moved as one, guided by a wisdom older than memory, following paths worn by countless generations. They knew the safest river crossings, the hidden dangers, and the places where the land offered shelter or threat. Within the herd, the strong watched over the weak, the experienced guided the young, and every animal played its part in the great journey. The migration wound through open grasslands, over rocky ridges, and beneath the shade of acacia woodlands, each landscape offering new challenges and new wonders. The sights changed with every mile, towering thunderheads, golden plains, and the endless shifting mosaic of life on the move. For Punda, the migration was more than a journey for survival. It was a living lesson in the wild's beauty and brutality, a breathtaking odyssey beneath the ever-changing African sky. On the perilous journey of the Great Migration, zebras are never truly alone. Each step is taken within a living tapestry of movement, where every animal is both an individual and a vital part of the herd. The herds are not just a collection of bodies, they are intricate societies woven together by bonds of kinship, trust and mutual reliance. Zebras and wildebeest, though different in stripe and shape, move as one, their destinies intertwined. Within these alliances, subtle interactions unfold. Zebras nuzzle and groom each other, reinforcing family ties and calming nerves. Wildebeest cluster tightly, their low grunts a constant background hum, signalling reassurance or warning. Wildebeest, with their sensitive noses, are the first to catch the scent of danger or distant rain. Their sudden tension ripples through the herd, a silent alarm that passes from one animal to the next. Zebras, ever vigilant, use their sharp eyes and keen hearing to scan the horizon. A flick of an ear, a sudden stillness, these are the signals that keep the herd alert and unified. When one animal senses a threat, the entire herd responds as if with a single mind. The safety of the group depends on this instant, wordless communication. Punda, the young zebra, learned to read these cues, watching the older zebras, mimicking their movements and trusting the collective wisdom of the herd. A startled grunt from a wildebeest, a sudden surge in the herd's direction, and Punda would press close to his mother, feeling the pulse of urgency that swept through the animals around him. But the herd's unity is not just for defense. It is a dance of cooperation, where each animal's actions benefit the whole. Zebras and wildebeest graze side by side, their movements choreographed by instinct and necessity. Their different tastes in grass mean that food is shared, not fought over. Zebras crop the tough, tall stems, clearing the way for wildebeest to nibble the tender shoots beneath. The zebra's strong teeth make them the pioneers of the pasture, their grazing opening up new opportunities for their companions. Wildebeest follow, grateful for the feast revealed by their striped allies. This sequence of feeding is a quiet pact, an unspoken agreement that benefits all. In this way, the herd moves as a living wave across the savanna, each animal playing its part in the cycle of survival. Young Punda, guided by his mother, learned not just what to eat, but how to be part of this great moving family. The bonds between mother and foal, between siblings and friends, are the threads that hold the herd together. Grooming, nuzzling, and playful chases strengthen these ties, building trust that will be tested in times of danger. The herd's social fabric is further enriched by the presence of other species, like the giraffe. Giraffes, towering above the grasslands, serve as silent guardians. Their height gives them a view of the world that no zebra or wildebeest can match. When a giraffe pauses mid-browse and stares into the distance, the entire herd takes heed. This silent signal can mean the difference between safety and peril. The giraffe's vigilance is a gift to the herd, another layer of protection in a world full of threats. Punda's herd often grazed in the shadow of these gentle giants, comforted by their presence and the extra eyes they provided. The giraffe's calm watchfulness allowed the zebras and wildebeest to relax, if only for a moment, in the knowledge that danger would not go unnoticed. Yet the greatest safety comes from the herd itself. In numbers, there is strength. For a predator, a tightly packed herd is a daunting challenge. The confusion of stripes, the thunder of hooves, and the sheer mass of bodies make it hard to single out a victim. When danger strikes, the herd erupts in a swirling storm of motion, each animal trusting the group, each movement guided by the collective will to survive. Punda learned to stay close to the centre, shielded by the bodies of his elders, protected by the unity of the herd. Predators circle the edges, searching for weakness, but the herd's cohesion is its greatest defence. Only those who stray or falter are at risk. In the end, it is the bonds between animals, their trust, their cooperation, their shared vigilance that transform vulnerability into strength. In the heart of the herd, Punda found not just safety, but belonging. The savannah is a land of breathtaking beauty, but beneath its golden light danger always lurks. Here life and death are never far apart. Every shadow could conceal a predator, every rustle in the grass could signal a threat. For Punda and his herd, the greatest threat was the lion. These powerful predators, silent and patient, are masters of the ambush. Their golden eyes scan the horizon, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The mere scent of a lion sends ripples of fear through the migrating animals. Punda's first close encounter with this ever-present danger came as a young lion, hungry and bold, began to stalk his family group. The air grew heavy and a wave of tension swept through the herd. Every zebra froze, muscles taut, ears flicking, nostrils flaring for any sign of movement. The stallion, Punda's father, immediately took charge. He let out a sharp, barking call, a piercing warning that echoed across the grasslands. Instantly, every zebra snapped to high alert, their bodies forming a living shield. The stallion's strategy was clear: gather the herd into a tight defensive formation. Mares and foals, including Punda and his mother, were herded into the centre, while the strongest adults faced outward, ready to confront the threat head-on. Their best defence was unity, a wall of powerful legs and sharp hooves, a living barricade against the lion's charge. At the same time, the zebras edged closer to the massive column of wildebeest, knowing that the lions often targeted the weaker or less vigilant among the herds. The wildebeest, with their unpredictable movements and sheer numbers, were often easier prey. By mingling with them, the zebras used the other animals as a buffer, a living shield that reduced their own risk. It was a calculated, instinctual move, a testament to the complex survival strategies at play on the plains. Punda watched, his heart pounding, as a lioness crept closer, her body low and silent in the tall grass. The tension was unbearable. Every zebra was poised to run, but none dared break formation. Lions hunt with precision and teamwork. The lionesses, swift and cunning, attempt to cause panic, to scatter the herd and isolate a single victim. The male lion, the pride's leader, often waits, watching as the hunt unfolds, ready to claim the prize once the kill is made. Once the prey is down, the male asserts his dominance, eating first while the others wait. For the zebras, the fear is real, but so is their resolve. Punda could feel the terror around him, but also the strength of his herd, each animal drawing courage from the others. The zebras stood their ground, a shimmering wall of black and white stripes, refusing to be intimidated. The standoff stretched on, the lions waiting for a mistake, the zebras refusing to give one. Finally the lion, perhaps realizing the herd was too alert and well-organized, gave up the hunt and melted back into the shadows. A collective sigh of relief passed through the zebras, their bodies relaxing as the immediate danger faded. The lesson was seared into Punda's mind. The savannah is a place of constant vigilance, where a single moment of inattention can be fatal. He had witnessed the courage of his father, the importance of unity, and the necessity of always being alert. This encounter was a harsh but vital lesson. Survival on the plains depends not just on speed, but on intelligence, cooperation, and an unwavering awareness of the ever-present shadows. For Punda, the threat of the lion would never be forgotten, but neither would the strength of the herd. The Mara River loomed ahead, its wide, rushing waters the most daunting obstacle of the migration. The river's current was swift and relentless, slicing through the savannah and forcing every animal to face its challenge. Punda's herd gathered at the muddy bank, tension rippling through the animals as they stared at the swirling water. The river was a torrent of brown, churning water, its depths hiding unseen dangers. Beneath the surface, Nile crocodiles waited, ancient predators perfectly adapted for ambush. Their eyes broke the surface, motionless and patient, as they anticipated the chaos to come. The herd hesitated, the urge to reach the lush grass on the far side battling with the fear of what lay between. The promise of food was strong, but the river's dangers held them back, every animal weighing the risk. The herd pressed together, their numbers a shield, each animal drawing courage from the others. They surged forward, then fell back, a living wave of indecision and anticipation. Punda pressed close to his mother, feeling her heartbeat quicken as she watched the river. The dark shapes of crocodiles drifted in the current, and the roar of the river filled the air. The choice was stark: face the river's perils, or remain and risk starvation. The crossing was a bottleneck, a test of timing, instinct and unity. Suddenly, a wildebeest leapt into the water, breaking the tension and triggering the crossing. Instantly the herd followed, a surge of bodies plunging into the river in a desperate bid for survival. Zebras and wildebeest moved together, their numbers confusing the crocodiles and increasing their odds. Punda's father nudged the family forward, urging them into the swirling water as a unit. The cold hit Punda like a wall, the current tugging at his legs as he entered the river. He kicked furiously, fighting to keep his head above water, the current threatening to pull him under. All around, animals splashed and called out, each one battling the river and its hidden dangers. Crocodiles lunged from the depths, jaws snapping shut on the unlucky, the struggle for life and death playing out in seconds. The river itself claimed the weak, its current as deadly as any predator. Punda stayed close to his mother, her presence shielding him from the worst of the current. He focused on the far bank, swimming with every ounce of strength, driven by instinct and the will to survive. At last his hooves found mud, and he scrambled up the bank, heart pounding. Exhausted and trembling, Punda reached solid ground, the ordeal behind him. He looked back at the river, knowing he had survived the crossing, a test of courage, teamwork, and the raw power of nature. The journey across the Savanna was merciless, and for the youngest members of the herd, every day was a battle for survival. The odds were stacked against them. Only about 1/3 of zebra foals lived to see their first birthday. For Punda, the world was about to change forever. The herd pressed on, but exhaustion and hunger gnawed at their spirits. Punda, still so young, clung to his mother's side, her presence his only comfort in a world full of dangers. After a grueling river crossing, Punda's mother faltered. Her breaths grew shallow, her eyes clouded with pain. She was suffering from colic, a cruel and often fatal affliction for zebras. The herd's rhythm slowed as she struggled, but the migration could not wait. The others moved on, leaving Punda and his mother behind, a pair adrift in the endless grasslands. Punda's mother tried to rise, her body trembling with effort, but her strength was gone. Punda pressed his small head against her, desperate for her to stand, to keep moving, to stay with him. The savannah grew silent around them, the wind whispering through the grass. Punda's world shrank to the space beside his mother, fear and confusion swirling in his wide, dark eyes. He nudged her again and again, his small body trembling with worry. But her eyes, once so full of life, now gazed distantly at the horizon. The scent of vulnerability drifted on the wind, a silent signal to the predators that roamed the plains. Soon a clan of hyenas appeared on the horizon, their eyes fixed on the helpless pair. Punda's heart pounded with terror as the hyenas crept closer, their calls echoing through the dusk. The hyenas circled, patient and hungry, sensing the weakness in the air. Punda's mother, even in her pain, tried to shield him, her body a barrier between her son and the encroaching danger, but she was no match for the relentless pack. The standoff was tense, the air thick with fear and sorrow. As night fell, Punda stood alone, his mother's body still and silent beside him. The herd was gone, and the world felt impossibly vast and empty. The hyenas, emboldened by the darkness, crept ever closer. Punda's mother summoned her last reserves of strength, standing between her son and the threat, but her body could not hold out. The inevitable came with the rising sun. Punda's mother slipped away, her spirit leaving the plains she had known all her life. Punda was left in a world suddenly colder, the ache of loss settling deep in his chest. He called out, his cries echoing across the empty grassland. Alone and grieving, he pressed his face into his mother's mane, unwilling to leave her side. The pain of loss was raw and overwhelming. For a zebra foal, orphaned and defenceless, hope seemed to fade with the morning light. Yet in the animal world, even in the face of heartbreak, there are moments of unexpected grace. Punda wandered, lost and frightened, his every sense alert for danger. The loneliness pressed in, but he was not forgotten. As the sun rose, painting the sky with hope, a new figure appeared on the horizon. Punda's aunt, a wise and gentle mare from his father's harem, had noticed his absence. Her heart ached for the little one left behind. She turned back, braving the dangers of the open plain, and found Punda standing vigil over his mother. With a soft nicker she reached out, nuzzling him with warmth and reassurance. She called to him, urging him to rise, to follow her away from the shadow of loss. With gentle persistence, she led him back toward the safety of the herd, her own foal by her side. In a rare act of compassion, she adopted Punda as her own, offering him the comfort of her presence and the protection of her family. Though it is uncommon for a zebra mare to care for another's foal, especially while nursing her own, her heart was big enough for both. Punda found himself nestled between his cousin and his new guardian, the warmth of their bodies a balm for his grief. The herd welcomed him back, their soft nickers and gentle nudges a silent promise that he was not alone. In the days that followed, Punda learned to trust again. The ache of loss remained, but it was softened by the bonds of his new family. Through their care, he discovered the strength to move forward, the resilience that lives in every heart that has known sorrow. With his new family, Punda rejoined the great migration, forever changed but not broken. In the wild, loss and love walk side by side, and every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. As the first light of dawn crept across the savannah, the zebra herd began to stir. Life on the move was dictated by simple, essential rhythms: eating, drinking, and resting. Each day unfolded in a series of rituals, repeated with quiet determination. Zebras spend a huge portion of their day, up to 2/3, simply eating. The herd fans out, each animal focused on the endless task of grazing, their movements synchronized in a gentle swaying rhythm. Their digestive systems work quickly, meaning they need to consume large quantities of grass to get enough nutrients. Each mouthful is carefully selected, torn free with strong teeth and flexible lips. Punda, now growing rapidly, spent hours grazing alongside his new adopted family. He watched the older zebras, copying their every move, learning which grasses to choose and how to avoid the bitter ones. He learned to use his flexible lips and strong incisor teeth to clip the tough, fibrous grasses that other animals couldn't eat. Sometimes he would tug at a stubborn clump, determined to master the skill. An adult zebra needs over 10 litres of water every day, so the herd's movements were always planned around the location of rivers and waterholes. Here they would gather to drink, always wary of the predators that might be lurking nearby. Ears twitched and eyes scanned the horizon, even as cool water was drawn in with thirsty gulps. Keeping clean is also a vital part of a zebra's daily routine. After grazing, they often pause to shake off dust, flick their tails at persistent flies, and scratch at itchy spots with their teeth. Without access to soap and water, they have developed other clever methods for grooming. Some would rub against tree trunks, while others preferred a good roll in the dust. Punda loved to find a dry, dusty patch of earth and have a good roll. He would throw himself down, legs flailing, sending clouds of fine dust into the air. This behaviour, known as a dust bath, helps to remove parasites like ticks and lice from their skin and fur. The dust coats their bodies, making it harder for pests to cling on. It also helps to relieve itches and maintain the condition of their coat. After a good roll, Punda would stand, stretch and shake, his black and white stripes now tinged with gold from the dust. He would lie on his back, kicking his legs in the air and wriggling with satisfaction, sending clouds of fine dust everywhere. Sometimes other zebras would join in, turning the dust bath into a playful group activity. It was a moment of pure, simple pleasure in a life that was often filled with stress and danger. Afterward, the herd would rest, some lying down, others standing guard, always alert to the world around them. Another important grooming ritual is a social one. Zebras are deeply social animals, and their bonds are strengthened through gentle, mutual care. Punda quickly learned to participate in mutual grooming with his cousin and his aunt. These moments were filled with quiet affection and trust. Two zebras will stand side by side, facing opposite directions, and use their front teeth to gently nibble and scratch at each other's necks, withers and backs, places they cannot reach themselves. Ears flick and tails swish in contentment. This behaviour is not just practical, it is a crucial social activity that removes parasites and strengthens the bonds between family members. Sometimes several zebras will form a circle, each grooming the next. It is a quiet conversation of trust and affection, reinforcing the connections that hold the herd together. For Punda, these moments brought a sense of belonging and safety. These gentle moments of care were a comforting counterpoint to the harsh realities of the migration. As night approached, the herd would huddle together, drawing strength from each other. Zebras also have partners in their quest for cleanliness. The oxpecker bird is a constant companion, always on the lookout for a meal. Small birds called oxpeckers are often seen riding on the backs of zebras and other large mammals. They move nimbly, searching for ticks and other pests. These birds provide a valuable service by eating ticks, flies and other parasites from the zebra's skin. The zebras tolerate their presence, knowing the benefit they bring. It is another example of a symbiotic relationship on the savanna. The oxpecker gets food and the zebra gets relief from pests. The oxpecker gets a full meal and the zebra gets a thorough cleaning and is alerted to danger by the bird's loud, chattering calls if they are suddenly disturbed. The herd relies on these warnings, sometimes reacting before they even sense the threat themselves. Through grazing, drinking, dust bathing and mutual grooming, Punda settled into the daily patterns that defined the life of a zebra. Each day was a tapestry of movement, care and connection. A life of constant maintenance in the service of survival, woven together by the bonds of family and the rhythms of the wild. The years flowed by, and the endless rhythm of the Great Migration continued, painting the savanna with the movement of countless hooves. Punda, once a fragile foal, grew into a magnificent stallion, his journey shaped by the wild, his spirit forged by survival. With maturity came new instincts and a powerful drive to lead, to carve his place in the ever-turning cycle of life. No longer content to simply follow, Punda felt the call to guide, to protect and to shape the future of his herd. He left the comfort of his family, venturing into the unknown, ready to face rivals and prove his strength. The savanna became his arena, where the ancient dance of challenge and courage played out beneath the open sky. Rival stallions clashed in fierce battles, each seeking the right to lead, to continue the legacy of their kind. Punda met these challenges head-on, his determination and strength echoing through every thunderous duel. The battles were fierce, but they were not for destruction. They were the crucible in which leaders were born. Each contest shaped the herd's future, ensuring only the strongest and wisest would guide the next generation. Scarred but unbroken, Punda emerged as a true leader, his legacy written in every mark upon his hide. His speed, cunning and resilience set him apart, inspiring those who followed in his hoofprints. Victorious, he gathered a family of his own, his presence a beacon of strength and hope for the herd. The mares joined him, drawn by his courage and the promise of safety beneath his watchful gaze. Punda became the heart of his family, guiding them through the perils and wonders of the wild. The wisdom passed down from those before him now lived on in his actions, shaping the herd's destiny. Ever vigilant, he stood between his family and danger, a living shield forged by experience and love. When threats arose, Punda faced them with unwavering courage, defending his herd with the ferocity of the wild itself. In his strength the herd found safety. In his journey they found inspiration. Punda's legacy was now woven into the fabric of the Savanna. Through hardship and triumph he embodied the spirit of the migration, the unbroken will to survive and thrive. Loss and kindness, struggle and unity, these were the threads that bound the herd together, generation after generation. As Punda led his family across the Golden Plains, he became a living symbol of resilience, hope, and the eternal cycle of life. New foals would soon take their first steps, watched over by the stallion who once was a vulnerable foal himself. Punda's story, written in the stripes of every zebra, echoed across the endless savannah, a testament to the wild's enduring spirit, the power of legacy, and the unbroken cycle of life. Gap 2S. As Punda's legacy continued to flourish, the herd's presence on the savannah played a crucial role in the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Zebras, with their unique grazing habits, helped maintain the health of the grasslands. By selectively feeding on certain grasses, they controlled plant growth, preventing any single species from dominating the landscape. This grazing behavior promoted biodiversity, allowing a variety of plants to thrive and, in turn, supporting a multitude of other creatures. Gap 3S. The zebra's movements across the plains also had a profound impact on the soil. Their hooves churned the earth, aerating it and aiding in the decomposition of organic matter, which enriched the soil and fostered new plant growth. This natural tilling process was essential in maintaining the fertility of the savannah, ensuring that the land remained productive for future generations. Gap 3S. Zebras shared their habitat with an array of other herbivores, such as wildebeest and gazelles. Together, these animals formed mixed herds, each species benefiting from the heightened awareness and protection provided by the others. The zebra's keen senses and alert behavior often served as an early warning system for the group, detecting predators long before they could strike. This mutual vigilance helped reduce the risk of surprise attacks, enhancing the survival chances of all members of the herd. Gap 3S. Predators, too, were an integral part of this intricate web of life. Lions, hyenas and cheetahs relied on the herds for sustenance, and the zebra's presence ensured that these predators could continue to play their role in the ecosystem. The constant dance between predator and prey drove the evolution of both, honing their skills and behaviors in an ever-escalating arms race of survival. Gap 3S. Beyond their immediate interaction, zebras influenced the entire ecosystem in more subtle ways. Their droppings, rich in nutrients, provided food for insects and other small creatures, which in turn supported birds and other wildlife. The zebra's movements help disperse seeds across the landscape, facilitating the spread of vegetation and contributing to the overall health of the savanna. Gap 3S, the harmony of the savanna, depended on the interconnectedness of all its inhabitants, each playing a vital role in the grand tapestry of life. Punda and his herd were more than mere wanderers. They were guardians of the ecosystem, their existence crucial to the balance and beauty of the wild. Gap 3S. As the sun set over the golden plains, the silhouettes of zebras stood as a testament to the enduring power of nature's design. Through their daily lives they upheld the intricate balance that sustained the savanna, ensuring that the cycle of life would continue unbroken and eternal. Gap 2S. Punda's legacy was not just one of survival but of stewardship, an enduring reminder of the profound impact each creature has on the world around them. The zebra's journey was a story of interdependence, resilience, and the timeless dance of life that painted the savanna in hues of harmony and hope. Gap 2S. As dawn breaks over the savanna, a soft chorus rises from the zebra herd, an intricate language woven not with words but with sounds, gestures and movement. Zebras, though silent to the untrained ear, are masters of communication, relying on a rich tapestry of vocalizations and body language to stay connected in the vastness of the wild. Gap 3S. A sharp bark echoes through the grass. A warning signal passed from one zebra to another, alerting the herd to possible danger. Whinnies and brays, each with subtle differences, help mothers and foals find each other among the shifting stripes. Gentle snorts and low grumbles express comfort or mild annoyance, keeping the peace during moments of rest or grazing. Gap 3S. But not all messages are spoken. Ears flick back and forth, signalling curiosity or caution. The position of a tail, the tilt of a head, and even the way a zebra moves through the grass all convey meaning. When the herd prepares to move, a dominant zebra steps forward, its confident stride and raised head guiding the others. Instantly the rest respond, falling into place as if choreographed by an invisible conductor. Gap 3S. In times of threat, the herd moves as one, a living mosaic of stripes shifting seamlessly. Each zebra reads the subtle cues of its neighbours, adjusting speed and direction in perfect harmony. This unity is their shield, confusing predators and keeping the herd safe. Gap 3S. In the world of zebras, communication is more than survival. It is the glue that binds the herd together. Through their calls, gestures and silent understanding, they navigate the endless plains, always connected, always united. Here, with no human presence, the language of stripes tells an ancient story, one of trust, cooperation, and the enduring bonds of family. Across the rolling grasslands, Punda and the herd spend much of their day with heads bowed, grazing on the endless carpet of savanna grasses. Zebras are true grazers, relying on a simple yet ingenious diet. Tough, fibrous grasses that many other animals cannot digest. Their strong, ever-growing teeth and specialized digestive systems allow them to break down these coarse blades, extracting nutrients from even the driest forage. As the seasons shift and rains transform the landscape, zebras adapt with remarkable flexibility. During the wet season, lush green shoots blanket the plains, and the herd feasts on the tender, nutrient-rich growth. But when the dry months arrive and grass becomes sparse and brittle, zebras use their keen memory and social cues to find hidden patches of food, sometimes travelling vast distances in search of fresh grazing grounds. Unlike some grazers who are picky, zebras are generalists. They can survive on lower quality forage, giving them a vital advantage during lean times. Their constant movement not only leads them to new pastures but also helps rejuvenate the land, trimming old grass and making way for new growth. For Punda and every member of the herd, foraging is more than just eating. It is a daily test of resilience. Each mouthful of grass is a lesson in adaptation, a quiet triumph over the ever-changing rhythms of the wild. In this delicate balance, zebras have mastered the art of survival, thriving where others struggle, and ensuring the herd endures, season after season, year after year. From the moment Punda took his first shaky steps, the journey of growing up on the savannah began. In the early weeks he rarely strayed far from his mother's side, relying on her for nourishment and protection. Each day brought new milestones, his legs strengthening, his balance improving, and his curiosity blossoming. Soon, Punda joined other foals in spirited bouts of play. They chased each other through the tall grass, kicked up their heels and practiced quick turns and sudden bursts of speed. These games were more than just fun. They were essential training for the challenges ahead. Every playful nip and gallop honed the skills that one day might mean the difference between life and death. Elders watched over the youngsters, guiding them gently but firmly. Older zebras demonstrated how to stay alert, how to recognize the subtle warning signals of the herd, and how to find the safest paths across the plains. Through mimicry and close observation, Punda learned where to graze, when to rest, and when to move on. As weeks turned into months, Punda's legs grew longer, his stripes bolder, and his confidence greater. What began as awkward leaps became graceful sprints. What started as playful mimicry evolved into real understanding. In the heart of the herd, Punda found not just safety but purpose, a place in the living tapestry of zebra life, shaped by every lesson, every game, and every step alongside his kin. Every year, as the seasons shift and the distant thunder of rain beckons, Punda and his herd embark on one of nature's most remarkable journeys, the great zebra migration. Across the vast African plains, thousands of hooves drum the earth in unison, weaving intricate paths that stretch for hundreds of miles. Zebras are guided not by maps, but by ancient instincts and the subtle signs of the land. They sense changes in the wind, the scent of fresh grass carried for miles, and the distant rumble of approaching storms. The herd moves as one, driven by the promise of water and the need for lush grazing grounds. But the journey is fraught with challenges. Rivers swell and become treacherous barriers, their currents swift and unforgiving. Predators like crocodiles and lions lie in wait, testing the vigilance and courage of the herd. Exhaustion and hunger are constant companions, and only the strongest, those with the sharpest senses and tightest bonds, endure. Yet, amid the hardships, there is a quiet resilience. Older zebras lead the way, remembering the safest routes and hidden watering holes. Mothers nudge their young forward, while stallions guard the flanks. Every step is a testament to the herd's unity and determination. Through dust storms, scorching sun and starlit nights, Punda learns the rhythms of migration, the art of finding hope on the horizon, and the strength found in travelling together. For the zebra, survival is not just about reaching the destination, but about embracing the journey, year after year, across the wild and ever-changing plains. But lions are not the only shadows stalking the plains. For Punda and his herd, the African wilderness is a land of constant vigilance, where danger wears many faces. In the cool darkness before dawn, the eerie laughter of hyenas echoes across the savannah. Hyenas are cunning hunters, working together to isolate the weak or unwary. Their powerful jaws and relentless persistence make them formidable foes. By day, painted wolves, African wild dogs, fan out in coordinated packs. They are swift, silent and tireless, able to run for miles in pursuit of their quarry. Their strategies are clever, their teamwork unmatched. Even the rivers, which promise life, can turn deadly. Beneath the shimmering surface, crocodiles lurk in silence, waiting for the moment the herd must cross. Yet zebras are not defenseless. Their greatest strength lies in unity. When danger approaches, the herd bunches tightly together, a living wall of flashing hooves and bristling stripes. Mothers shield their foals at the centre, while stallions circle the perimeter, ready to kick with explosive force. Their stripes confuse attackers, making it difficult to single out a target. Sharp eyes and keen ears are always alert for the flicker of movement or the snap of a twig. In these moments, Punda learns the unspoken language of survival, the warning snort, the stampede triggered by a single alarm, the silent trust in those who run by his side. Every encounter with a predator is a lesson, one that shapes Punda into a true survivor of the wild. Here, on these ancient plains, every day is a test, and with each challenge the herd's bond grows stronger, their instincts sharper, and their will to endure unbreakable. Beneath the ever-changing sky, the zebra herd is more than a collection of individuals. It is a society, guided by ancient rules and silent understandings. At the heart of this society stands the stallion, the herd's steadfast guardian. He leads with vigilance, patrolling the edges, ready to defend against threats with swift, decisive force. His watchful eyes miss nothing, and his presence is a promise of safety. But leadership is not the stallion's burden alone. The mares, wise and experienced, form the core of the group. The oldest mare often guides the herd's movements, her memory of water sources and safe grazing grounds shaping every journey. She decides when to move, where to rest, and when to seek shelter from the midday heat. Younger mares watch and learn, finding their place in the subtle web of bonds and alliances. Foals like Punda grow up surrounded by these lessons, learning respect, cooperation, and the value of unity. Social grooming strengthens friendships, while playful sparring among the young teaches the skills they will need as adults. Disagreements are settled with swift displays, a nip or a kick, but rarely escalate. The herd's harmony is its strength. No human hand shapes these roles. They are written in the language of instinct and tradition. Each zebra knows its place, each day reinforcing the balance that has enabled their kind to thrive for generations. For Punda, these bonds are a source of comfort and belonging, a living code as enduring as the stripes on his back. Every zebra carries a masterpiece, its stripes. At first glance, these bold patterns seem to shout against the muted tones of the savanna. But look closer, and you'll find that stripes are more than decoration. They are nature's ingenious adaptation, woven into every moment of survival. As dawn breaks and golden light spills across the grasslands, the zebra's stripes blur the boundaries of its body. To a predator's eye, the shifting lines and shadows make it difficult to pick out a single target from the moving herd, turning camouflage into a living, moving shield. When zebras stand together, their stripes blend, confusing lions and hyenas with a dizzying display of shapes and motion. But stripes are not only for hiding. Beneath the blazing African sun, these patterns help regulate body temperature. The alternating black and white bands absorb and reflect heat differently, creating small air currents along the zebra's skin. This natural cooling system allows zebras to graze through the hottest hours where others might wilt. And in the heart of the herd, stripes speak a silent language. Each pattern is unique, a signature recognized by mothers and foals, friends and rivals. Stripes strengthen bonds, signal identity, and help zebras keep track of one another amid the swirl of the savanna. For Punda and his family, stripes are more than a mark of identity. They are a shield, a code, and a secret to survival, passed down through the ages by the wild artistry of nature itself. The rains fade and the savanna transforms. Rivers shrink to dusty ribbons, and the once lush grass turns brittle under the relentless sun. This is the dry season, a time when survival is tested not by tooth and claw but by thirst and hunger. For Punda and his herd, every day becomes a journey in search of water. Zebras are wanderers by necessity, following ancient trails etched into the earth by generations before them. Their bodies are built for distance, enabling them to travel miles beneath the scorching sky. Instinct guides them to hidden waterholes remembered by the oldest members of the herd. Sometimes they dig with their hooves, unearthing precious moisture from beneath the cracked earth. Hunger gnaws as green grass fades, but zebras adapt. Their teeth and strong jaws allow them to graze on tough, dry stems that many other animals leave behind. Side by side they share the sparse resources, each mouthful a testament to their resilience. Predators grow desperate in the drought, lurking near dwindling water sources. But the herd remains vigilant, their unity stronger than ever. They take turns drinking, eyes scanning the horizon, ready to bolt at the first sign of danger. As the sun sets and the air cools, hope returns. The promise of rain is carried on distant thunder. Until then, Punda and his family endure, weathering the hardship together. The dry season will not last forever, but their spirit is unbreakable. In the harshest times, the zebra's true strength shines, not just in their stripes, but in their unwavering will to survive. As the seasons turn and time moves forward, Punda's journey is echoed by countless zebras across the African plains, yet the future is uncertain. Beyond the age-old struggles of drought and predators, new challenges loom, ones that even the sharpest instincts cannot always outpace. Across the savanna the land shifts. Grasslands shrink as fences rise and wild spaces are carved away. Waterholes vanish and ancient migration routes are blocked. These unseen barriers test the endurance of zebra herds, forcing them to adapt once more. Natural threats remain ever present. Droughts that last longer, predators that grow bolder, and diseases that sweep silently through the grass. But now the balance is more fragile than ever. Still, the resilience of zebras is legendary. Their herds learn, remember, and move as one. Each new generation, like Punda, is born into a world of uncertainty, yet carries the strength of those who came before. Conservation efforts work quietly in the background, restoring corridors and protecting vital habitats. The future of the zebra depends on these wild spaces, on the freedom to roam, graze and raise their young beneath the open sky. Though the challenges are great, hope remains. The zebra's story is one of survival, adaptation and unity. As long as the plains stretch to the horizon and thunder rumbles with the promise of rain, zebras will endure, stripes shimmering like sunlight on distant grass, a living legacy determined to run free into tomorrow.